What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the JDW Sports Talk Show, where fans welcome. We're officially back, ready to rock and roll for our NFL weekly picks. This time it is the divisional round. We have 4 games this weekend. Best of the best, right, man? We're getting down to the best teams. We're starting to weed out some of the pretenders, like the Cowboys, like they are every year. I was proven wrong. The Rams, I was surprised that the Lions beat the Rams. They shocked me. You had the Chiefs beating up on the Dolphins, and you had the Texans smoking the Browns. Some really good wildcard action, but now it's time for the divisional, and I appreciate you for joining us. It's a great place to be if you enjoy NFL content. Make sure you like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. We have a ton of off-season content coming up, and we will be trying to cover the UFL, so we'll see how that works. It's the second football league this year. The XFL and another football league combined, so we're getting another league of football. So I'm excited, spring football. So, all right, let's not waste any more of your time. The first matchup we have are the Baltimore Ravens at home taking on the Houston Texans. So, are the Ravens going to be a little sluggish? Are they going to come off of the 2 weeks of the starters just not really doing much? There's, just resting, while the Houston Texans, their emotions are high, man. Their adrenaline's up. They want to win. They're red hot, coming off of a shellacking that they gave to the Cleveland Browns. CJ Stroud been looking good, man. He's been looking really good, and I'm really happy for the Texans, man. It's awesome to see. They may have the offensive rookie of the year, the coach of the year, and the defensive rookie of the year. Has that ever happened before? I don't know, but that is wild. It probably has not happened because, offensive rookie of the year, or, rookie of the year in general, you have CJ Stroud. Then you have the coach of the year and DeMeco Ryans, and the possible defensive rookie of the year and Will Anderson Jr. It's insane. They have so many playmakers, so many young pieces that they're going to have for years and years to come. And CJ Stroud is the leader of that. He's amazing. He's great. He's been nothing short of spectacular, of great, of what a top 5 quarterback in the NFL looks like. And unfortunately, I think that's going to come to an end this weekend. Now, CJ Stroud, he's looked awesome. He's done a very good job. But we've seen the Ravens. They smoked the Niners. They've been smoking really good football teams. They beat up on good football teams. This is a juggernaut. Now, a scenario I could see are, the Houston Texans jumping out early because of, the Ravens are sluggish because of the couple weeks off. A lot of starters did play week 18, but obviously none of them played last week. They're on a bye. But I just think that the Baltimore Ravens, I think this game is going to be close throughout. And I think the Texans are going to be very competitive. But I think the Ravens are going to pull away right at the end. I think they're just going to get a couple extra touchdowns. And I said, the Texans will get a touchdown, right at the end there when the game's ending. And I just think that the Ravens have a little more to them, And I think everyone's going to agree with me that the Ravens are just a juggernaut of a football team. Now, I can see the Texans doing it. I could. Just when you have a quarterback like CJ Stroud, anything is possible. Anything can happen. And especially the way he's been playing, it wouldn't shock me one bit if they do go into Baltimore and upset them. On the other side of things, Baltimore, they've struggled in the playoffs. They're kind of like they've kind of been like the Cowboys and the Bills. They're awesome in the regular season. They get into the playoffs and they're not as good as a football team. They just choke it out. They choke every time. So could the Ravens get past that? They have a new offensive coordinator. Their defense is pretty good. I do think the Texans can exploit that defense. So if the Texans defense, their Texans defense is a very opportunistic defense. They're going to allow yards. They're probably going to struggle against Lamar in the run a little bit. Dalvin Cook was a great signing for the Ravens. I would be worried about that if I were the Texans. He's an incredible runner. I can't believe the NFL let the Ravens get Dalvin Cook and Lamar Jackson in the same backfield now. But that Texans defense can make a couple plays. They're very opportunistic. They take advantage of opportunities. If a guy has an interception in his hand, he's not going to drop it. Most of the time, that Texans defense is going to pick it up. Will Anderson coming off the edge. He could have a nice day. Texans have a nice defensive line that can maybe force Lamar Jackson, maybe force a couple sacks, get a couple of fumbles. This Texan defense, Derek Stingley Jr., a young cornerback, he's been balling out this year. The Texans have a lot of really good young pieces. And they could get some turnovers. But I think the Ravens are going to do enough. And like I said, I think this game is going to be pretty competitive throughout. I just think that the Ravens towards the end are going to pull away and they're going to put the game away. And that's going to be the difference between these two teams. You have a team in the Ravens. They're pretty experienced, and Lamar finally has some help. And Mark Andrews is coming back as well. Isaiah Likely, OBJ. Offensive line is pretty good. The Cook, I just think it's going to be a little too much for that Texans defense. Now, the Texans defense, like I said, they do allow some yards, but they are opportunistic. I just don't think it's going to be enough versus the Ravens. And on top of that, the Texans defense, they're good. They're going to allow yards, but yeah, I just have the Ravens pulling away like towards the end, and Ravens taking it 38-28 over the Houston Texans. Next up, we have the Detroit Lions at home taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Lions' first playoff win since, 1991 or 1981? It was something like that. It's been a long, I think it was 1991. It was something like that, but congrats to the Lions, and I think they're going to keep it rolling against the Buccaneers, man. Look, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. This is a 50-50 matchup. And once I looked at this game, once I was like putting together this graphic and a couple of the graphics I got for a couple of videos, I'm like, okay, man, this is going to be a good game. We're going to be either seeing the Lions or the Bucs in the conference championship, which is pretty cool. The Bucs without Brady, and the Lions possibly getting in. And it's really awesome to see Baker Mayfield playing the way he has. But back to the Lions. Let's talk about the Lions a little bit first. So my thing with this offense is if the matchup is good, it depends on what the defense likes to call and what they like to run. Todd Bowles and the Bucs, they like to call man coverage. They like to blitz. They like to try and pressure the quarterback. Now, this can go either way for the Bucs. If Jared Goff is pressured all day long, he could have a rough day because Jared Goff typically isn't the best quarterback under pressure. He's been good under pressure. He has had some. That's where he has struggled most this season, when he was put under pressure a bit. But they also call, with all that man coverage and that blitzing, the Lions and Jared Goff, if Jared Goff can get the time, they have the weapons. That offense can tear up a man coverage and blitzing defense. But like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Jared Goff, if he gets time, he could do a phenomenal job, and the Lions will probably win this game and probably put up 30-plus points. Now, if Jared Goff is not playing well under pressure, say, the Lions offensive line isn't having the best of days, that can be the difference in this game, because that Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, they're kind of like the Texans defense in a couple ways. They're very opportunistic, but I do think that the Bucs defense is a little more complete. I think they have a couple more playmakers, like Antoine Winfield Jr. He is a monster. I freaking love that dude. One of the best safeties in the league. He's incredible. I might have to get myself a jersey of him one of these days if he's just an awesome safety. But Lions at home, I think the Lions are going to have the extra juice at home, and I think it's a decent matchup for them as long as that Lions offensive line keeps playing the way they did last week versus the Rams, because the Rams have a really good defensive line. You have Byron Young, you have Aaron Donald, of course, really, really solid defensive line, and they did a good job. Jared Goff did a good job. So I think that the Lions are going to be able to make that extra play. Like I said, this game can go either way. Now you talk about the Lions defense. This could be the downfall of this game. This is where I can see the Bucs winning this game. Lions defense is middle of the pack. They've had rough weeks. They haven't played well at times. They did a very good job against the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. But this week you're playing a fired up Baker Mayfield. A Baker Mayfield that is playing great football. He's played incredible. It's so awesome to see him doing what he's doing. After everything he's been through, he's doing such a good job. He's got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cade Otton is very underrated. I really like Rashad White. He's a nice playmaker. They didn't run the ball too well last weekend, but they're playing a really tough defensive line. Nonetheless, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can put up some points in this game. I wouldn't be shocked if both teams put up 30+. I'm just going to say that Baker Mayfield maybe makes that extra mistake. I think that this game, either of these quarterbacks can make that mistake, and that's the way it's going to go. But I do think the Lions are going to win this football game. I think they're going to advance to the NFC Championship, and I think the Bucs go home. They're better at home too. The Lions play pretty good at home as well. But yeah, unfortunately, Tampa Bay, sorry, but it's a 50-50 game. I can truly see this going either way for the reasons that I explained. Next up, you had the Buffalo Bills at home taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. Man. You guys see Andy Reid's mustache after the game? I literally had like ice hanging from his mustache. That was wild, bro. That's kind of like, I don't know. that has to be so uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, just seeing it has to be so uncomfortable. But, all right, you got the Bills at home, and that's not the only reason why I have the Bills win this game, man. Look, last week, let's talk about the Chiefs first, because I have a reason. What did the Dolphins try to do to the Chiefs all day long last week? They tried blitzing them. They tried blitzing Mahomes because their defensive line was so hurt. They had all these Pro Bowl defensive linemen from 2014, 2015, Houston, Ingram. They have all those guys that are just older, and Christian Wilkins, they had Christian Wilkins, but it wasn't enough. The Chiefs' offensive line, it's a good offensive line. They got a lot of push against the Dolphins, but, and the Dolphins had to blitz a lot because of that. So when the Dolphins were blitzing Patrick Mahomes, even though he was getting hit, he was still delivering strikes all day long against the blitz. He was eating that blitz alive. And so the Chiefs' defense, they like to blitz a lot, right? They're going to blitz a lot, and the Chiefs' defense is not really that great against the run game. They did good against the Dolphins. Well, the Dolphins couldn't really get anything going to start with, and they kind of took the run game away from the Dolphins because the Dolphins were behind the entire game. I don't think the Dolphins had the lead once in this game. So Josh Allen, look at the weapons that Josh Allen has. Yeah, Tua had the weapons he had, but Josh Allen has played amazing. He's incredible. He's got Stephon Diggs. He's got, I don't know if Gabe Davis is going to be back this game, but he has Dalton Kincaid, who has been incredible on his return for his return last week. Dawson Knox, he's I like Kincaid a lot more than Knox, but the Bills' offensive line is really good. They could run the ball. They have James Cook. They have Josh Allen, and I think James Cook and Josh Allen are going to run all over the Chiefs. So back to the blitzing point, why I started talking about the Chiefs and the Dolphins blitzing and all that. So the Chiefs' offensive line hasn't been great at times this year, right? It hasn't been as good as we expected it to be. But the Chiefs' offensive line is incredible. It is a very good offensive line, But this weekend the Chiefs are going up against a much better front. The Bills aren't going to have to blitz. The Bills are going to be able to, the Bills like a lot of coverage. They like to call coverage. They don't like to call man coverage. They like to call zone. They like to call it a zone. And they mixed it up last week quite a bit against the Steelers. And, typically the Bills are a team just to call cover two or call one coverage and not really mix it up. Last week they did that. I was happy they did that. And I think they're going to do that again this week against Mahomes. And it's not going to be Mahomes' fault that they lose. It's ultimately going to be the lack of weapons and the weapons being able to make that extra play and be able to make that play that they need, that big play. Rashee Rice has been really good. I've been really impressed with Rashee Rice, but they still need another guy. They do have Travis Kelce. He did drop a pass last week. It was a tough catch to make, and weather was crazy. Mahomes played incredible. But I just think, Josh Allen, his running ability, James Cook, he could catch the ball out of the backfield. Then you have Stephon Diggs, Khalil Shakir. I love Khalil Shakir. I've liked him for a long time. I think he's very underrated. I think he's very underappreciated. But I just think that the Bills are going to be able to run all over the Chiefs and limit the possessions that they get, which will magnify those little mistakes made by the Chiefs receivers so much more. Those little mistakes are going to show up and be much more crucial if you don't have as many drives. So the Bills are going to run the heck out of the football. And the defense, they're going to get a turnover or two just because of how bad the receivers are. I think one's going to come off of a tip, and maybe you get a fumble off of another one. So I do have the Buffalo Bills 27-24 with the extra weapons, Josh Allen, James Cook running all over them, and finally beating Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Next up, you have the San Francisco 49ers at home facing the Green Bay Packers. So I think the Packers are the biggest threat to the Niners at this point in the NFC. You look at the rest of the NFC, you have the Lions, you have the Bucs, and of course, not the Niners are playing the Packers this week. I don't think there's a serious threat to the Niners in the NFC at this point. The Cowboys were eliminated. I thought the Cowboys and the Rams were the biggest threats possibly. And, the Eagles, before they completely crapped the bed, you would say they would be, but that was like middle of the season saying that the Eagles would compete with them. But obviously that's not the case. The Eagles sucked. Is Nick Sirianni going to be gone? I'm interested. Do you guys think that Nick Sirianni is going to be gone after this year? Interested to hear your thoughts on that one. But yeah, back to the Niners and Packers. There's no serious threat to the Niners, and the Packers are the biggest threat So, but I think the Niners shouldn't have too much of an issue with the Packers. Now, I said that about the Cowboys. I thought the Cowboys would be fine. Didn't think they'd have too much of an issue. I thought it would be close, maybe. But I think this is going to be another game this weekend where the Packers are going to be competitive throughout the game. They're going to keep it close. But then the Niners, they're just going to pull away at the end. Brock Purdy or CMC, one of those guys are going to make the extra play. Now, one issue for the Niners I do have is the offensive line. Other than Trent Williams, the offensive line is not great. The offensive line is not very good. But Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan, they can kind of work around that because of all the playmakers they have, and Debo and CMC and Kittle and Ayuk. I don't think I said Ayuk, but all those guys can make a big play. And, I'm not saying the Packers can make that big play. I mean, Jordan Love continues to play the way he has. Good, but now he's going to be playing against a different kind of defense, a lot more tighter windows. The Niners are going to make it a lot more difficult to really throw on them. So we'll see how Jordan Love plays. I could see this being a game where Jordan Love hits a brick wall. I mean, Jordan Love has looked incredible, but I think this could be a game where maybe doesn't look horrible, but let's say maybe Jordan Love doesn't look as good as he looked, just because of how good the Niners are, and the windows are going to be much more tighter, and these receivers are going to I mean they're capable. They did very good last week, and they've been hot. Jordan Love is actually second in the league in touchdown passes, believe it or not, but then they could make big plays, absolutely, and the way Aaron Jones is running is pretty good, but I think that the Packers' offensive line and the Packers are going to struggle to run the football in this game, and I think they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jordan Love, and I think Jordan Love can make a couple plays, like I said, but I just don't think that the Packers are going to be able to outscore the Niners, and I don't think the Packers are going to. Yeah, I just don't really see the Packers being able to win this one. That 49ers defensive line going to get after Love and just make it really, really difficult on Jordan Love to make some plays. It's going to be hard for Love to step up. It's going to be hard for him to get out of the pocket. And, his receivers could get open. I think they can make a couple plays, but I don't think it's going to be enough. So I got Niners. Like I said, I think the game is going to be competitive throughout. I think that the Niners or the Packers defense is going to hang in there, but the Niners are just going to pull away at the end, and then that's going to be the difference. So, guys, that's going to be it for my NFL 2024 divisional round playoff predictions. I appreciate you. I hope you had a good time, and let me know your picks down below. Tell me where you think I'm wrong. I mean, hopefully I'm better than last week, because last week I was horrendous. I was horrible. I'm blanking. I got one game right, and that was the Bills and the Steelers game. It was bad, man, but hey, we'll see. Hopefully this week is much better. But that's all I got for you guys this weekend. Appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good one. If you enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, put the post notification bell on so you don't miss any future videos. This is the JDW Sports Talk Show signing off.